Special good morning to our listeners. Special good morning to our viewers. How's everybody doing? Welcome to today's edition of To The Point. I'm your host, GT. How's everybody doing? Those of you via social media platforms, hope all is well with you. Whatever part of the world you're listening and viewing, welcome to today's edition of To The Point. Hope all is well. It's Opposition Tuesday, and my guest with me this morning is Mr. of course, Christopher Allie Jr. with us. Christopher, good morning. How you doing? I think I could call you by first name now because you're such a regular on the program. How you doing this morning, sir?
Thank you, GT. I feel like a regular at this point. But it is a pleasure being back here, and good morning to the audience and the listening audience out there and the viewing audience. Good morning as well. It's a pleasure being back here to have a chat with you.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on today's program. We were chit-chatting about, that we were having that off-air conversation in terms of the cost of living in Grenada. And you being in the opposition rim, and you go around every day and you look at the citizens, from all sides of the spectrum, if you look at that, and you say to yourself, how are we surviving? Knowing the conditions in terms of, and it's not a Grenada thing alone.
No.
So I was actually speaking to someone in relation to that the other day. It's not a Grenada thing. It's other parts of the world that we could say, quote unquote, well off parts of the world, they're also feeling that pinch. I spoke to a friend of mine in St. Vincent the other day. I said, well, she was talking about the electricity bill. And I said, well, we talking about the Grenada. They're experiencing the same thing too. So folks just have to know how they're doing there. Let's talk a wee bit about that underground conversation you have from time to time. I mean, I always keep asking, potential, candidates and so forth, and you're like a pre-candidate also. That open conversation you hear on an everyday basis, sir, in reference to the cost of living.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little about that,
bro. It's tough out there. I want to start out and saying it's extremely tough out there for people. A lot of people, Grenadians have a lot of pride, so a lot of people won't go out there and just show everybody what they're facing right now. But a lot of families, I'm talking about families who have both two-parent households, both working, have probably one or two children, are struggling month to month. One parent was basically telling me, he was like, we compromised on a month-to-month what bill we cannot pay, what we can extend for 2 months so that the kids can make sure to get to school and have food in their lunch kits and pay for their bus and all that regular bills. And also, managing the money that comes in. Sometimes a spouse may have to take an extra shift somewhere. They have to lose time with their children. A lot of people are making some compromises to make sure they can meet their regular monthly needs. And it's truly tough. When I'm on the ground, a lot of people are telling me basically that their nutrition has changed. Like when I come home on the evening, I would quick up buy a tin of mackerel, some ramen, and and make a nice little meal out of that, rather than say go and buy some vegetables and make it's the health part of that is very concerning, because let's be honest, we all see the data, we all see the things that pop up on the news that ultra processed foods are leading to a lot more cancers and diseases.
And it's expensive to eat healthy.
It's truly expensive,
even though it's the way you're supposed to, but it's expensive to eat healthy. I can tell you from a person, I try my best to eat healthy stuff, and it's costly.
I know
it's costly.
My mother always says, like, you spend the most on the vegetables and the things that are good for your body, but it's the first thing to go bad in your fridge. So you have to eat it the fastest.
I know. So you already keep replenishing.
Replenishing
it from time to time, and that's where sometimes the bulk of the cost. Especially when it comes to taking care of healthy stuff. Chris, your party is better for everybody. I've been hearing that conversation a lot lately. Better for everybody. In one sentence, tell me, what does that mean for the person in the South, of St. George South?
Well, it means the growth that's happening in the economy, the constituency. We want to properly link that to the people living within the constituency. We're not saying that the South has a lot of advantages and we are the tourism hub, but we see a huge chasm, a gap being created between the opportunities out there and the people accessing it, the people who live in the neighborhood, and the ability to get in a position where they can be a part of that gain in the economy. So when we say better for everybody, it is our approach, like, or we think how we are thinking. We are not thinking on just for our people or people who vote NMP. We're not thinking that myopic. We are thinking holistically on how we can better the conversation for the whole country. Because only when the tide rises, all boats rise. And you may not view politics the same way as me, have a differing opinion. Doesn't mean that your family and your loved ones shouldn't have an opportunity to succeed. We're all Grenadians at the end of the day, and that is the approach of the new National Party. When we say better for everybody, it is an indication of how we are looking at our country and our countrymen. We want a holistic growth strategy that makes sure that every Grenadian is being feeling that they're part of the economy and are part of the conversation.
All right. You know, I sometimes I spend some time scrolling. Sometimes they say it's not healthy, but I scroll through social media from time to time. That's one of those bad foods.
The doom scrolling.
I do scroll through social media from time to time, just keeping my mind abreast with, what's going on in Grenada, especially individuals like yourself and other individuals who are, to just to gain information and keep myself up to the times. You always seem to make the statement that you're in the community. You keep saying you're in the community. Is it just for election time? Is this just an election time, so you're in the community, or should voters believe that is what it is for you? I mean, let's be on a realistic way about it, because we do feel that sometimes. This politician comes around because election is close.
Yeah. I hear it from people also in the community. Yeah. It's not something people will tell me, Mr. Allie, I'm glad to see you come in, but when they see you come back a lot more. I want you to be here more. And the reality, the South is a huge constituency, right? But I grew up in the South.
Okay.
And I grew up in Fort Drudy. I jogged through Calavini. I limed down in Esther's Bar. I limed down in the lab. I go to Junction.
So rest in peace also.
By the way, condolences to the family of Miss Esther's Bar, a true stalwart of the vendors market and pioneer. Condolences to them and the family also. But these are staples of the South. Like, I'll be by Masavi having a drink sometimes randomly. I catch me by Irish shop on Sundays cooking with the boys, Rooster and them. I am a part of the community because I didn't just grow up within the community. I lived the South experience. When I go on weekends to de-stress, I go on Grand Anse Beach. These are the things that make growing up in the South so unique. I grew up in one of the areas that have the best beaches in the world and the most vibrant tourism economy, where you have so much people from different parts of the world that changes the way I see the world. So yes, when I tell people I am a part of the community, I am deeply a part of the community, but also I'm not trying to just come in for election season. When I came into this party and came in as executive of the National Party, I came in a year after the elections was over. Early 2020, late 2022, early 2023. I've been with the party and in the community for over 2.5, 3 years now.
Okay.
I have not been shy about supporting and being in the community for a long-term basis, because that is what is informing my understanding of how to build and grow the community. Most of the residents in the South have brilliant ideas. They just want someone who's willing to listen and bridge the gap between the ideas and creating it for the people. So I am overjoyed by staying in the community for this long period of time as once a caretaker, now a pre-candidate, but I am here willing to continually learn, listen to my people, and try to go back home to figure out how we can turn these ideas into a reality. So that is all I am doing at this moment. I'm continually trying to touch base with people in the community, hearing their suggestions, hearing their problems, hearing their cries, and trying to figure out with myself and my team how we can get that somehow met in the middle.
What is that level of feedback for you has been? the reading MP for the South is of a popular nature within that particular constituency that you're coming up against. What is that level of feedback you've been receiving, especially from residents, knowing you on the opposing side? The current MP has a level of popularity within the constituency. He's liked. And what is it like for you coming in there and presenting your at your level for that constituency? What is it like for you?
I mean, I try to let people understand who I am first.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell someone on who I am not. And who I am is someone who is probably not as boisterous, loud, probably not the one who's just jumping up on a car, trying to get all the attention. I'm a more reserved, kind of quiet kind of guy, but I am a deep thinker. And I process things deeply, emotionally, and I try to be proactive in my approach. Now, to the President MP is a very popular guy.
Yeah.
But I don't believe, I grew up in the South, populism goes so far. You can be a popular guy and people can like you, but are you enacting the change that people can benefit from?
Yeah.
What are the things that you are tangibly doing that create a better livelihoods, not just for the present, but for the future? Because the South cannot just be a constituency of just taking an active approach of just solving the right now problems. We have to think beyond what's around the corner and how we prepare the constituency, the people, the talent, the skills, everything to make sure that when more change happens, that we are most prepared to handle it. We are a hub for growth in business and small business and entrepreneurship. Our youth are not just engaged on just an academical front. They are engaged on a skills front. They are people who are not academically inclined. They should have a pathway for them.
Yeah.
The kids with Down syndrome and special needs, how are they growing and being involved in the society so that their parents have support so that they don't have to worry about who's staying home with their special needs child when they're gone to go work. These are the support that is tangible and makes a benefit for the people in a deep way. So I'm not just sitting here and just expecting a popular name to be what is the winning result of this race we're in. I'm focused on the deep-rooted problems and issues that the constituency faces on a monthly, yearly, and a continual basis. I'm trying to figure out how we grow businesses so that our environment pulls in capital from around the region, pulls in businesses from around the region. I want it to be the bastion of growth for the country. Yeah. And that is the type of thinking I am bringing to the table. And I have no problem with the MP. I just think that the conversation should be moved from just a little nitty-nat character bites to focusing on deep issues that concerns the citizens of our constituency and the proactive measures that you're doing to make sure that pathway is realized for people.
Tell me, you speak about a whole lot about the South leading growth, and you speak a lot about the growth, where you want to see the South and so forth. Paint this for us. That particular picture, I hope you're good at it. I saw you painting the other day. What does that, thriving St. just South look like for you? Let's say 5 years from now.
5 years from now, we should be a beacon of tourism growth in the country. Yeah. A beacon of small business enterprise growth. Mentorship programs, these kind of things to take people from idleness on the block to proper proactive growth and business growth. We need serious rethinking of the system because the things we have so much available as advantages in a constituency. We have a beautiful constituency, we have a beautiful beach, we have many beaches, we have tourism products, we have a thriving educational market with SU students, growing real estate development. What are we doing to the people who are also a part of the constituency, the residents who live in the valley? Take, for example, I love to see the initiative of putting sidewalks on our new construction. But look, you're residents of the valley who walk in the road to just get to the destination. If I'm not avoiding people in the valley, parents walking their kids to go to the shop, and there are 2 young kids, and the kids are in a drain slightly in the road. That is unsafe. Let
me tap into you 1 sec. Folks have said that the South may have peaked already economically. Yeah. Do you believe that?
Oh, not by a fraction of that. We have barely scratched the surface of growth. We have not even started to urban develop and urban plan the South properly. I hear people talking about roads in Mount Zion and in the valley, but what is a road without deep planning of urban planning and design to make sure that when that road is coming on there, where's the drain coming out? Does it have enough capacity for the drain so that all the homes can make sure a proper runoff? The grey water, the septic tank, all these things are serious issues in terms of planning. You can't just put a road, you have to figure out where the design and planning is going on. The road within Guankai that Brother Nolan Cox, who was in infrastructure, set up and do all of that for the Guankai road. The minister realized the hard work that we did and put in the road, but the road is left without a slip drain right now. Now all those residents on the lower end of that road in Guankai is having serious problems with flooding. That is what you talk about proper urban planning with infrastructure development. We have to think not just myopic in our approach, we have to think large scale, like how are we affecting not just the residents who need the help on the road, but also the people who also will be taking some disadvantage with the runoff and water and all these things. This is how we plan communities better. So that is what I'm saying.
But also, what do you think is really holding that that economical growth that the South need back as it stands right now? What is really holding it back? We see it. Sometimes we think, as I mentioned in my first question, is the South peaked already in terms of the development? But you think what is what is holding it back economically more than it's already at right now? If in terms of that further enhancement that it needs.
Well, it needs a visionary approach first, and also policy and initiatives that help support that and create the linkages between that. Take, for example, we have a situation where we are needing more service sector skilled labor right now, right? How much of our programs are geared towards that? We have a lot of community centers in the South. I would like to see the reform of all community centers to be converted into a TVET center, so that people stay within their communities and grow there and learn new skills and upskill themselves or these kind of things. We need to have that type of approach, but also linking that with retired professionals in our community who are just home, like my father, gardening and doing a little odd ends meetings and going to lodge. We need him to be mentoring the other generations that are coming up, to tell them how to grow businesses, how to establish yourself, how to apply for a mortgage, and link that to other areas of our thing in terms of policy, because as a government we may see things that are growing in the future 5-10 years from now and position our young people to take advantage of that. So as a policy and an action point where we make sure we give the skills to the young people, and a mentorship aspect where we continually go back and check on them and make sure they're doing well and they need support. They sometimes need a little counsel to just say, hey, I've been there, I've failed there, and this is how you get there and pick yourself back up. This is the kind of things we need in our society.
But do you believe that we meshing it correct? When I say mesh it, in terms of we see the infrastructure development, but then sometimes we see the lack of people development, development of the people, the individuals, who, except for the individuals who are there, who may have gotten to a level of development, is who may have come into it. But if they the residents per se, sometimes you see the idle stuff that is going on, where people just sit by the road and doing stuff through the course of the day. Do you think that there's a lack of that personal development more within that particular constituency for the people developing themselves?
Well, that's more of a personal nature, because I mean, I've seen young men who sit on their phones and look at podcasts, and some of them podcasts you think is just idleness, but then men are looking at a Diary of a CEO podcast, learning different things of approaches. So like, I've had conversations with young men that blow my mind, because we have a world where information is not just in a library anymore. It's everywhere.
Getting them involved in the everyday life of the constituency.
I think in some ways making them a lot more pessimistic and like logging out a bit more. Like I would say, boy, they'll bring all different examples and they'll say, nah, I kind of clocking out. And then I would try to like reinforce some other examples that they can research and think about. So I believe is having that open conversation, but yes, there is both sides of that coin. There are some people who are just kind of being frustrated and so much information and overwhelmed, they're just checking out.
All right. We do for a break. Let's take a break, come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks, to the point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch it out.
Freedom is driven to pursue that passion that keeps you up at night and makes you smile in your sleep. Freedom is bold to embrace the possibilities that can open up your world and conquer new heights. Freedom is fabulous, with bits and pieces that enhance the quality of your life. Freedom is what you do with the flexibility to change path or direction when you need to. Freedom breeds ambition and purpose while having loads of fun along the way. But most of all, freedom is well deserved for the road traveled and the journey still to come. And to make the journey even more rewarding, borrowers can enjoy chances to win event tickets or vouchers throughout the promotion, while one lucky first-time borrower takes home the grand prize, a $3,000 preloaded debit card. Unleash your freedom with Nexa Credit Union. Call us on 440-1354 or visit our website to pre-apply. Apply now. Freedom awaits. Terms and conditions apply. Nexa Credit Union. With you wherever your road leads.
Get ready for an unforgettable evening of culture and flavor this July 4th. The Tivoli Jammers in partnership with Grenada.
Or renovating your home or business? Why not use clean, renewable energy? Install solar panels to power your home and office and see your energy costs go down and your savings go up. Using renewable solar-powered energy protects our environment, reduces our carbon footprint, and slows the devastating impact of climate change. Republic Bank can help to finance construction and renovations that make use of renewable energy. Visit any Republic Bank branch and ask about renewable energy financing options today.
Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
The Ministry of Agriculture White Potato Production Initiative is an OECS sub-regional project aimed at reducing Grenada's reliance on imported white potatoes, which in 2025 had an imported value of over 4.5 million EC dollars. The White Potato Production Initiative is part of the Ministry of Agriculture's food security drive and is being undertaken with the simultaneous cultivation of other crops such as sweet potatoes, pineapples, coconuts, carrots, and other vegetables. Other OECS countries like Dominica and St. Vincent and the Grenadines are already at an advanced stage in white potato production, with Dominica completely cutting the import of white potatoes during the first quarter of 2026. Grenada is now preparing to advance production for better output in 2027. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands and Forestry, ensuring food and nutrition security for all.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers once again. It's To The Point Classic Radio. Of course, in a bit of a chit chat this morning with Mr. Christopher Allie of the New National Party this morning here on today's edition. I want to move our conversation a wee bit, and it's going to sprung up from my last question in terms of youth empowerment, and especially getting young people who are interested in their small business and get them to grow. I mean, you being a young individual yourself, tell me, young people in the South, sometimes we consider them as hustling for some reason or the other. That's what the entrepreneur should be in terms of the small business that they're doing. You may see individuals by the side of the roads, have a side of a little bar, some may have a little barbecue grill and stuff like that. We see that happening. You know, some folks are into the online shopping and you know, other services that they offer. What would you do differently in terms of to support them, especially the young people who wants to get that particular themselves, as you know, we say in local terms, get themselves off the ground?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
Well, I just want to say I am a young entrepreneur as well. Yeah. And I'm probably a hustler as well. I always do 3-4 different things to make money. So I consider myself the same. The first thing I want to start off is access to capital. First thing, that's one thing that we need to start talking about young people and what the business ideas and the framework we have as a country and a policy as a government. The reality is access to capital is extremely hard for young people. I have some very good, brilliant ideas to push that. I've taken it from other countries have created certain things, but I think we need to create something that is unique to Grenada.
Yeah.
And the fact is, when I talk to young people, the first thing they will tell you, boss, can't go to the bank. Credit union and them had too much requirement, too much paperwork, too much everything. I have to incorporate a business. I have to go and spend $5,000 by a lawyer. You take me how much weeks? I have to give them how much this or that. And I'm like, I hear it all about. I hear the frustration, and a lot of it is our system. One has to do a rethink in how we create more efficiency. When you look at the doing business index that World Bank does, Grenada is far down the line. But we as a small country had to take that as a responsibility to change that immensely, because when it's high cost of doing business, you're creating a barrier of entry for young people to see a future of growth for them. When they only see someone who has parents who have means and they were able to invest in their child and help them start off with a business, or auntie from away who was able to, when people see that as the only way out, they feel like they don't have a chance to get that if they don't have those avenues. We need to create a new financing framework. Banks and credit unions cannot be it alone. We need to create new things through GARFIN, policy, investors, and go out there and say we need more diversification in our finance model. We need things like private equity, venture capital. We need things that allow young people to grow their businesses without worrying about a loan payment month to month. You need them to come in, people who invest capital, come in on a company and tell them how to create a board, how to create advisors to them to help them in finance and growing their financial abilities, to create financial statements for the banks and show growth forecasts to be able to get more capital to grow. These are all aspects young people need help in growing their businesses, from small, medium enterprises to later a larger corporation. That is a type of structure and ladder we need to create for our young people. So when I see things like GIDC, Grenada Development Bank, and all these institutions that have been legacy institutions, I see that as an ability to reform and update these institutions to now remake it to something that fits the purpose for Grenadian youth. We need a youth excellence program. I think the youth center should be the prime location for that, where we take youth from all over the constituencies, those who have opted out of the educational system and those who have issues in learning that are not fit for our education system. We need to be able to take them, retool them, work with them with mental health, give them mentorship programs, and then link them to access to capital so they can take their business from concept to reality. Even though we create a national Shark Tank-like initiative where we have top business leaders of Grenada sit down and 20 young people a week come in front of them and present their ideas and their business plan and how they're willing to grow, and have these Grenadian businessmen counsel them, either invest with them or tell them no, try again. But we have to create this pathway and excitement to make our young people feel that the future is bright for them. And I'm getting that sense that young people are feeling very weighed down by anxiety and depression, because it's seeing a future that is changing right in front of their eyes, and ability to wonder, like, what is work later on? I have a brethren who is in his side hustle is creating posters and stuff for FETs, and he makes a good little change from that every month. That business is dead to him. He said everybody just taking AI images and prompting AI so he's lost his side income.
Yeah.
How much creatives, how much technology experts who used to do a side job in coding and stuff are now being replaced by AI? We need to have a conversation about how to create AI-proof businesses for young people to transition to, and that is in service sector related industries. We have a tourism economy. That means our country will probably take the last time to really truly be affected by AI deeply. We need to start to create an economy that is focused on wellness tourism, focus on people coming and disconnect from America and a globalized world, and just immerse yourself in nature on the beach. Get foods that are organically grown with no pesticides and Roundup being sprayed on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. We need to create an ecosystem that is not just healthy for the people who live here, but attracts that kind of people who want that level of connection to life, nature, and well-being. And that is what I see. I see so much growth for our people.
Tell me something. From time every time we hear government put out a lot of programs for young people, we hear of them coming out of there, the Empower and all of these programs being put out. But then we see a lot of young people drop by the wayside with them. Sometimes what has been offered is not their interest.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I've spoken to lots of young persons who they have that day, but it's not what I'm interested in. What would you like to see being offered to young people? Not in basically the everyday thing that everybody's doing, the AI process stuff and stuff like that. But what would you like to see more offered to young people in Grenada today that will be in their line of what they would like to be? So they might get the impression that young people have not been listened to in terms of what they want to do, and ideas are sprung out on them. Hey, we're gonna do farming. Majority of young people aren't interested. Let's be frank about that. Uninterested. We're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. But what would you like to see being offered to young people that geared to their interests? A lot of youngsters go to school now. I've been leaving school with 13 and 14 subjects because they were told to do that. Does not go with their line of life in terms of today. It has, yes, it's good to have them, have the knowledge of it, but then it doesn't sprung along for them in terms of what they would like to do in their future. What do you focus is you would like to see young people get to do more or being offered to them more by government programs that is really along their line of wanting to do?
Well, first of all, like, no one can tell a young person what they should do. I think
that is what is happening a lot. That is what is happening a lot.
What we really need to do is present options. We need to give guidance to young people. First, I take from my example. I went to school GBSS and Westmore. Only time I started to figure out what career and thing was coming closer to Form 5 when I figured the subjects and the subjects I was good at, I chose, and then my mom kind of told me, well, all those subjects here, they choose is either business or law, like that was my options, no one told me that was my career path on what I'm good at, what I'm naturally capable of. I just meandered through my choices and figured, okay, this is what I'm capable of. I'm going to go to school to study this, better that. And I think if I had to do it all over, I might make some different changes with more information that I know now. Now, I want a lot more young people to have my story as an example of later on when in your 30s you're trying to figure out maybe I should do a career change. No. We need to allow young people to have more practical knowledge of life. And I want to be bold and say this, but I think we should rethink the age we have young people starting to work at. I didn't start to work till I was 18 years old. We need to, most kids in most developed countries have an income by 12, 13 years old. It may not be 40 hours a week, no. But allow children to go and take a little part-time in a law firm or in construction, in engineering, in fishing, in fish processing, in different things, in tourism, in marketing, in these things. They could see that they may have so much other skill sets that they didn't know they were capable of. And that is what I want to see more from how we treat young people. It's guidance.
Consult with them in terms of what they like. And I always think that's where we get lost with young people a whole lot. They're not consulting in terms of what they like. I like doing this, but I'm not. It's just not presented to me.
In a way to make money.
Do IT. Sometimes it may not be what you like. A lot of youngsters like being on the computer, but it may not be what they like doing. And I have spoken to a lot of young people and say, I like this, but it's not what is being offered to me, especially even within the education system. What is offered to them sometimes is not what they like as individuals. And then we see them dropping along on the wayside for those particular reasons. We drew for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks, to the point. Classic Radio GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch your dial.
GBN Massology is back. We're officially on the road to spice up the Carnage 3.0. And it all starts here. Live from GBN Studios every Friday at 1:30 p.m. Streaming across GBN platforms, bringing pure energy, culture, and spice man's vibes straight to your screen. Hosted by Charlton, powered by Graphic Sound System, featuring fresh faces and seasoned stars. Massology is what the culture takes center stage. WhatsApp 407-8458 now to secure your spot on Messology. And don't miss the repeat broadcast at 8:30 p.m. This is Messology, the heartbeat of Spice Mass. Don't miss it. Emancipation Weekend, Freedom Takes the Sea. The Media Workers Association of Grenada invites you aboard Unscripted, the Freedom Edition, Friday, July 31st. Step into an unforgettable night of music, vibes, culture, and connection aboard the ultimate summer cruise experience. Meet your favorite media personalities, party under the stars, and celebrate freedom the unscripted way aboard the Ecstasy. Boarding is at 7 p.m., sailing at 8 p.m. Dress code Freedom Chic, bold, stylish, unapologetically you. Tickets are limited and going fast. Get your tickets online at GoToFet and at recognized ticket outlets. Unscripted, the Freedom Edition, because the best stories are the ones you never planned.
Welcome back once again, listeners. Welcome back, viewers. I'm your host, GT. It's To The Point, Classic Radio GBN TV. We still have approximately 20 minutes or so left on today's edition of To The Point. We're going to get into another segment of the conversation. Then we invite all listeners and viewers to chime in. Of course, is there any point of this conversation that you would like to chime in on? Maybe ask a question. Feel free to do so next segment. So, Allie, let's continue. The VAT amendment bill. I saw you speaking on it in relation, of course, giving your thoughts in relation to in terms of the do's and don'ts, what will work and what will not work via different posts that you make. The digital tax, of course, plainly, what does it mean for working families? That monthly bill. I saw you being criticized by folks saying that it's heavily criticized by them. What you are presenting is not it. So maybe let me hear from you directly this morning in relation to this. What is it that you understand for those regular working families in relation to that VAT amendment bill? Talk to me about that, sir.
The VAT amendment bill is the next way to this increased cost of living for the regular Grenadian. It's going to increase cost of living for you, no matter how you look at it. It's just more burden on a family. You're talking about added cost burden on the things like, I know families who don't pay cable. All they have is Netflix and Amazon, and they watch stuff on YouTube, and they have the different subscription services. This is how people been, moving and adapting to the modern world, and taxing that indiscriminately is just increasing on cost of living.
But is it wrong to tax us on have those tax put it on it?
I have no problem.
Wrong having a tax put on it?
I have no problem in taxation.
Yeah.
I believe anything with government finances, taxation is probably the right way to go about in terms of growing the income of a government. Mm-hmm. But I believe you should have more intellectual dexterity to be able to find a different way of bringing in income to the government that does not put the burden on the citizen. Let's be honest. When the country was making the biggest year we made in CBI income, over half a billion US dollars, the country, the common man, the Grenadian, did not get a benefit to them in terms of alleviation and lower bills and anything like that. But anytime the country is suffering, is the populace, the citizens, the tax-paying citizens that the burden is being placed on. That is an unfair dynamic. I am not saying taxes should be abolished. I think, and just be honest, that we should be able to think about the right way and placement of taxation that could have been done the job for us. If you wanted to tax certain things digitally, you could have gone to the banks and said through their credit card situations and the digital things, they pick it up, you could tax it, it would have been a part of the credit card bill, and the banks and the government had a simple deal and an increase in government revenue there. They didn't think about that. And even the Attorney General went, and I thought when she took my post and said, I thought she would have come with some sort of intellectual dissemination of how I was wrong. And what I saw was her congratulating, trolling on Facebook and saying, yes, glad you beat up on Allie, but not answering the question. What is this going to do to families, and how is the law that you're being presented is going to affect families? And when you look at those details, when you bring up the clause 2 and the different clauses, I posted the entire law that was being presented to the same people on Facebook. I was like, read for yourself. If you want, take it, copy it, and put it in ChatGPT and explain it in simple terms. All you would get from your own research is that this bill is not geared to help Grenadian families. It's geared to put more burden on them. So I personally don't believe in a process of just stifling the opportunities for growth for Grenadians. Because you have to remember, when you take away a family's ability to save and take away their ability to create some sort of financial cushion, you're taking away their ability to grow, to adapt to changing circumstances, to make an investment when they see a possibility, to take some risk when they can. That is being taken away because they have no ability to save and earn in a way that protects their family. So I am a person who don't believe in that digital tax. I think it's a lazy way.
If you are being challenged by it by saying, well, not everybody's going to have Netflix. Yeah. Not everybody's going to have, subscriptions online. You understand? So is it you saying that, or is it fair to say that only who has the able to afford to pay these particular subscriptions are the ones that's going to maybe feel that little pinch? The regular citizens who may not want to apply for these particular subscription online or do things online may not feel those pinch. I mean, that's fair.
That is fair. You can opt out of the digital world, but my ask is this. All I've been hearing is from the government and from every nation around the world is that the whole world is shifting to the digital world. There's no going back. There's either you're getting on or you're getting off. Yeah, people back in the day, people used to complain about when they go into the bank, they didn't have the little paper book to write down the balances. That shifted underneath their feet and they couldn't do anything about it. They either get on or they get off.
Yes.
The reality is that the world is shifting into a digital landscape. The skills that are needed to survive has to be some sort of understanding of the digital world. And we want our people to adapt more to this world. So when you tax that now, you tax the ability for not just the regular Joe who have Netflix and stuff, but what about a business person who is doing websites, who's doing social media? Remember, all these things now create costs for them when they're doing these things.
What if someone challenge you also on that and say it's also a way of, bringing revenue to government, that government is already losing revenue?
Where?
In terms of the particular companies who we as locals pay these subscriptions to online.
Yeah.
Aren't government losing revenue because now these monies are going out?
Well,
and minimal return in terms of investment on island itself.
Well, then you have to look at what the cost-benefit analysis is. The reality is that are you creating an environment locally where people get a better bargain here than going online? The reality is that in a world where Amazon exists, where they can create so much lower cost, it is very hard for a regular merchant to survive much. It's a fact.
Yes.
No, you as any citizen is trying to make sure that you take the best price possible to make sure you have some ability to save your money So when we are looking out for price parity, you have to ask yourself how much Grenadians are able to just take a higher cost because we don't want to take part in a digital world that's out there. Amazon and AliExpress and all these things would never would still be there today and tomorrow. And businesses that I see are closed businesses and electronic businesses, where do you think they source their products from? It's from the Amazons and the AliExpress, and they come back to sell to Grenadians right here. So my question is that when we think about how we grow our economy, and you asked before, what are the things preventing it? These are kind of the things that are preventing it.
Yeah.
When you overtax a segment of our economy and you don't allow it to grow, you stifle the growth of the industry. You stifle more young people looking to create different hustles online. And that is the thing. I want more young people right now. I've seen more young people who are becoming content creators. Yeah. I've seen Exo King Dre and all those young kids who know creating content to contextualize the Grenadian experience online. And
I have one more question for you, because I know you could go on and on with that this morning. I have one more question for you, and then of course we'll shoot for time.
Yeah.
I have one more question for you. The New National Party lost seats in the 2022 election.
Mm-hmm.
Why is times are different now? Why is this time different now, in your personal opinion, about the New National Party, geared towards the upcoming election? Why is it going to be that different?
I think Grenadian people allowed us to look inside. Allowed the New National Party to take some stock and to listen again. I believe that is part of democracy. Sometimes as a party we need to look internally and figure out how we now change the conversation, that the Grenadian people can see that we thought the problem and figured we have the right plan for them. So yes, I think 2022 was a blessing in disguise. Yeah. If it wasn't to a 2022 election, I probably wouldn't be here sitting next to you talking about this. I think it allowed a great wave of new generation of thinkers and politicians to come up. I think it allowed more young voices to be a part of the conversation and bring in their own way of thinking and governing. I think that was the best benefit this administration has done, was allow the NMP, with its institution of progress and thinking about problems holistically and approaches to it, and make sure tangible benefits are given to the people. We took that, we listened, and we went back to the drawing board, and now we're coming to the people saying that we have heard your cries, we have listened to you, and now we're coming with plans that will ensure that we all grow the economy for a better economy for everybody.
All right, great. We're going to entertain some calls in this segment now until we get to the top of the hour. Let's take our first caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning, welcome.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Telesford. Greetings to you and Mr. Allie.
Good morning to you, sir.
Are you prepared, Mr. Allie, to report to me on that homework which I gave you the last time? Read a document written in 2002. You let me know a little later on. First of all, I note, Mr. Allie, that you have a lot of wonderful ideas. It seems that you do sit and think of a lot of marvelous things that you reckon that we can happen. And I laud and applaud you on that. But, sir, it is evident also that you're seeing yourself in your state of pre-candidature, that the position that you're seeking to hold in this square country, if and when you're elected, quote unquote, by the people of this here country, is that of a legislator, a lawmaker, a member of parliament, with the parliament in our system, where the laws are made and upgraded, Mr. Allie, sir. 90% of the things that you've spoken about are all related to you and your constituency and the young men there in your constituency, in your area. It means that you're being misled, the same as the others have been misled in the past, sir, to believe that when you get the job elected, is that to run your own government in your constituency. You have it wrong, sir. I want to hear your aspiration, what you propose for the people of the country in general, because that's what you're being primarily hired for. I wish you would consider just a suggestion. The other thing is this, a lot of wonderful ideas. Something that you did spill here, which reminded me that in 2012 I first suggested to the previous administration, in relation to the boys and girls who drop out from school, I suggested that we should establish a NISE, N-I-S-I-E, a National Institute for the Students of Inconclusive Education, so that our boys and girls would prepare themselves within the age of 5 to 18 for the other step in life, is that to go out and work. Why did I say that? Because I saw that even in my time back then, when I left school, I went to work, skilled, which I learned at Cool. Those in my time knew that. But Mr. Diali, we cannot do any of these things if we continue to live under the current constitutional architecture. What are your proposals for bringing Grenada in line with democratic states around the world, moving out of the status of being a monarchy, a constitutional monarchy ruled by the national pride and dignity owned by the Grenadian people, sir? What are your proposals for that? I trust that my queries, my concerns, and my little question here can be answered. For what it's worth, do have a nice day. Will you, gentlemen?
Thank you, sir. Have a good morning. Yeah. Quick response to the caller?
To Citizen Rolo, I do believe any constitutional referendum would be dictated by the people, which has been brought to the people already. And if the people so choose that they want to go back in the constitutional referendum, I am in support of what the people want as a representative of democracy. So yes, and I continually think that vision and ideology should move the conversation before we just constantly focus on bickering among ourselves. We need to focus on how we all uplift all people. So anything in those realms, nationalistic or in my little constituency of the South, I always think about the larger Grenadian people. So every plan, every consideration is always to how we could export this all around the country and help benefit the country on a national basis.
All right, great. We do have another caller via WhatsApp. You're live. Let's hear from you.
Hey, GT, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Let's hear from you.
Diali.
Good morning.
Mr. Diali, first question to you. I just want to ask you, how comes we're not seeing Dr. Charles on the program every week? Basically, like you representing, why we're not seeing her? Okay, and my other question to you, Mr. Diali, you could see you born with a gold spoon in your mouth, and you don't really understand stuff. You understand? Because, okay, GT asked a question concerning but if it's that time, like you're being around the people, seeing that you're in it's an election time, you know what I mean? And I could see that you don't have no roots growing up, basically, like being and seeing the plight of the poor man. My second question to you now is that, okay, you made a statement that people have to choose about what they should eat or what bills they should pay. And this is the same thing I hear from St. Lucia. I hear from St. Vincent, I hear from Dominica, and always the opposition with the same thing. We heard that from Miss Emily Pierre too, with the same thing. People have admitted this. You guys have to stop now. We're tired of hearing you guys just come up with the same thing. And my last thing to you now, okay, the last time when they had the meeting in the diaspora, you say you wasn't invited. Well, no, I'm going to invite you. Right now, the administration and the diaspora coming back, planting 40,000 trees, right? Basically spice trees and things. Seeing that you're somebody in agriculture, because I know like you're a mushroom farmer, basically. Would you be taking part in that? Seeing that in Ivan, that agriculture take a dive in spices. So I want to know if you're going to be part of that planting back our spices.
Thank you, caller. Thank you for your contribution this morning. You want to respond to the caller?
First of all, I'm going to address it one time. I don't know about what gold spoon that I was raised with. I come from two hardworking middle-class parents who worked extremely hard to give me the life that I could have achieved some stuff. So I don't know about no gold spoon. And I'm in the community every day to see the plight of the people, and trust me, their conversations are much different. And lastly, I would gladly take a couple spice trees and plant around my house, or if I had land, I would plant a lot of spice trees. I think that is incredible growth for tourism. I want when people come off the plane, they smell spices in the air, cinnamon and clove and bay leaf, and all these things is part of what makes us a spice island. So I am all geared towards that. I don't think that being a part of the opposition makes you just a hater for everything. And just to bring back that thing about cost of living. First of all, cost of living is something that happens all around the world. We see that. What we're trying to bring up is that what is the proactive measures that a government in power is doing to address the cost of living situations. The cost of living is everywhere globally. We're not denying that. But what we are seeing is that, what are you seeing from your administration that says to you they have the empathy and understand the plight of the poor man as you said, to make sure that they put in things that are helping the poor man meet his everyday needs. That is what I'm talking about.
Okay, we do have another caller. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Good morning. I beg of you to be brief, please.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
That is a classic example of systemic avoidance of reality. Now, since this government come in power, what we've seen is elevator, right? I don't know if Mr. Ali is living in a bubble. We had in power, we had a raise of salary, we had regularization, right? Minimum wage. They had folks in Imani, went on, some of them was even grandmothers in Imani for years. The salary was raised, right? You had pension, the new pension, all those things. The government doing the best and all kind of different.
Caller, I would like you to get to your substantive point so we can move on, please, caller.
That is the point I'm making. I'm saying the point to say that he's living in a bubble, because what the government is doing in terms of what he is saying is just regurgitating some of the things that the government practically doing right now. You don't expect perfection to be done 100%. The government just came into power only 4 years. They only recently celebrated. And what I'm saying is, and these are the posturing that you'll find from people who don't understand realities on the ground. You had a former administration who never did these things. For example, Mr. Ali is in the South, and he recently fixed up courts and so on for the youths to play basketball. They were in power for so long. Did they do that? You understand? So we have to be realistic, because people are watching what is going on. We can all sound nice and dandy, but at the end of the day, the reality is that NDC is doing all what he say and much more. Have yourself a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. We do have another caller via the WhatsApp. WhatsApp caller live, and that will be the caller that will end the call-in segment this morning, and we get some closing contribution from you. WhatsApp caller live. Go right ahead, please.
Hello. Good morning to you too.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah. The gentleman he hasn't said nothing wrong at all, right? But I'm telling you, we're living in a world now where it will take more than what you're saying to change the world. And I'm not looking at Grenada, because I am Grenadian and I live in the UK, and Grenada is my home. In the short, I want to come back to Grenada, so I want good for Grenada. But it will take more than what you are saying, mister, to change Grenada. You know, it's globally, it's happening. Here, we have 7 prime ministers in 10 years. The man didn't even take out his shoes yet to put under the dressing table. They get rid of him. So what I'm telling you, right, I hear what you're saying, and you're not saying anything wrong, and you mean well. However, it's not going to happen in this world. I'm sorry to say it. I'm sorry for being negative as well. Have yourself a good day, both of you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you a whole lot for your contribution this morning. Anything the caller said you want to respond to?
I agree. I cannot do it all. That is why I have 14 other members of the team who are working with me, who have excellent intelligence and situational awareness and emotional intelligence to help get the job done. I'm not a lone individual who can do everything by himself. I am a part of an institution in the National Party that has always proven to the entire Grenadian populace that we mean what we say, and we say what we mean, and we do what we say. So I'm not going to try to run away from it. I'm lifting that and putting it on my chest as a member of the National Party. I'm proud of what my party has done, and I'm even more excited of what we have in store for when we launch our manifesto and what we bring to the Grenadian people. So I just tell everybody, to the last caller who accused me of being in a bubble, I say, careful when you're throwing stones in a glass house. We all live in a certain bubble, and what we do, we should step out and, instead of criticizing, start to listen more openly about the situation of our country and how we could all benefit and lift it together. I have no problem taking criticism. I have no problem leaning into it. It can't be in a mass and frayed powder, but I would always tell my Grenadian people, I only do things from a place of love. And that is why when we say as NMP people, love in the house, we truly do mean it. And that is the kind of thing I want to bring out there.
So, Allie, I want to thank you once again for being on the program this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you. Always great conversation until we do this again.
My brother, thank you so much.
All the best. Hey, folks, that's how we're going to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Thank all who contributed. Have a good one, folks. That's where we say goodbye.